I remember I spoke about the young fella that spoke to us when we heard his pitch about Lake Forest Place. And my wife and I, the first thing we said is, that sounds kind of expensive. It's pretty expensive. I'm not sure we can afford that. We're not extremely wealthy people, comfortable, we're not wealthy. Went to our financial advisor, and he said, well, let's look at the numbers, and we did. And if you count up everything you do, whether you want to or not, whether the things you do, are you going to be spending much more than that? No, we're not. But it's amazing if you really get down to nuts and bolts and the number of calling Joe the plumber at 3 in the morning and that sort of thing. You begin to worry about things like, a new roof and that sort of thing. You think about it. It really did just about even out.
Mm-hmm. I think it's less to live at Lake Forest Place because when I was going to marry Sam, I started paying his bills for him too. But by the time of landscaping and snow removal, and last year we had 55 inches of snow, those snow people were out there so many times. It's absolutely incredible. You have heat, gas, light, water, all your different bills. I paid less for my assessment than he was paying for his house. And then the landscaping is done for you. Not your little garden, you do that, but they edge around it and do all these things, and then they come around and clip it they just cleaned my garden, what I hadn't done the other day. I mean, there's just no question. It's much better where we are.
I think you had a questionnaire and asked people at Lake Forest Place, would they make the same decision over again? I think it'd be 98, 99%.
I think 100%.
Right.
It comes pretty close to 100.
You hear people say, I'm not ready. And I'm wondering, how do they know? and maybe
I'm too young.
I'm too young. And well, if you're fortunate enough to still be 2 and have some energy, maybe that's the time to move when you can still get involved in an interesting community.
And it can be too late for some people.
Exactly. The cliche answer to that, which we all give, you go wait that long, it's too late by then. And we all give that same answer. Back to Neil's point, we know 2 people who moved out, both, who are very, very sad about doing it. They moved for reason, not that they were dissatisfied. And they were probably sadder about moving out of Lake Forest Place than they were moving out of their original home.
People that say I'm not ready, many of them what they really are saying, and some of them will come out and say it, is I don't want to go to a nursing home.
That's right.
And they have a fear of being stereotyped with the people in wheelchairs and the motor scooters and the walkers. And because most of these people live in houses, they're not aware of the fact. You go to any condominium nowadays, you got people in wheelchairs and walkers and so on, and they aren't being realistic enough to say, hey, but for me, there go I. That's a hurdle that becomes very personal and is tough for a lot of people to get over.
It's the fear of closing up. It's the fear of starting a new chapter. It's not that they do believe us that, as I said, it's the wisest decision we ever made, but we looked at it as, hey, we've started a couple of new chapters back in our earlier life. We're going to start another one. A lot of people have a lot of trouble doing that, and it's crossing that bridge that
it's overwhelming.
That is overwhelming.
We lived in our house for 37 years, so we had, and I never threw anything away. So we had so many things that you're doing your child the greatest service in the world if you can get rid of all your things, give your children what they want, and only keep the things that you need to have. Then they don't ever have to do that, and then you're not a burden to them. I'm an only child. My husband was an only child. My children, none of them live here. But I sent off a truck to Massachusetts, a truck to Colorado, and one to Montana full of furniture. And they're crazy not to come. I just think it's a great place.
I did the same thing after I married Jenny. I got little books with different colored stickers on it, and brought all my children in, and thinking they'd take a lot of things out of our house. They took virtually everything, and one of my twin daughters took our whole living room with 2 sofas and the whole works. She took everything and took everything out of her living room and put all this stuff in there. So when I go to visit her in Tiburon, California, it's like I'm back home again. But it was absolutely amazing. They took all the lawn furniture, and the downside of it, I had to pay a lot of the freight bills because it was so expensive. But it was a wonderful thing, and I had lots of disc sets and all this stuff, and it was wonderful to actually get rid of all of that stuff to my children in a fair and honest manner. In fact, if they both put their markers on a thing, it was their job to work it out. In other words, they could trade off and say, well, I'll take this and you could take that, and so on. And we got it all done in a wonderful manner in a few days. So it was amazing. So.
I think we stopped them by saying, but we haven't changed our lifestyle any. It's just been much easier to do what we want to do.